All right, one more thing to say about signals and slots. I want to talk a little bit about what you can and can't do with these signals and slots that we've used so far. So first of all, notice that this signal and this slot both have nothing in the parentheses. Um, no extra information is sent and no extra information is required. In this case, this signal had one piece of extra information, a Q string, and this slot received an extra piece of information, a Q string. They match. In general, you want or need to match these the parameters that are in the signals and slots. So if you mix them up, it may not work as you expect it. I'll give a little bit more information about that in a second, but in general, you need these to match. Um, Another thing you can't do is you can't send your own information in these signals. Not yet. We'll look at how to do that later on when we make our own widgets. But when we have these pre-made widgets like line edit, button, and widget, um, we can't send our information. So for example, we can't do this. Like we can't put our own string in there. We can only use the string that's sent from the line edit. Again, we'll take a look later on at how we can make our own signals and slots, and then we can send our information to and from the program. But right now, you just have to be content with using whatever information comes from the line edit or whatever is sending the signal. All right, so we said that usually we want to match up the signals and slots as far as what the parameters are for the signals and slots. There are some cases where you don't need to do that. For an example of that is a slot can ignore information that comes from a signal. So for example, we can have the same line edit, send out a signal text changed with the additional information of QString. But if we use widget as the receiving object, we can pick a slot that actually ignores the QString. So let's try that. So what slots do we have available for widget? Well, close is one of them. Oh, widget isn't the name of our window. Window is the name of it. Alright, so close is one of them. So in this case, the signal's information doesn't match up with the slot. However, the slot can actually ignore information that's sent to it. So we can make it so that when text changes in the line edit, the window closes. Let's try that and see how that works. Alright, so I typed in the text box and the window closed. So it doesn't always necessarily have to be an exact match, the parameters that are in the signals and slots, but generally you want to do that. If you think of a reason why you want to use a signal and a slot that don't match, remember the rule that it's okay for a slot to um, ignore the information that comes with a signal, but it's not okay the other way around. For example, you can't um, you can't say when I press button 2, then we change the text on the line edit. So when button 2 is clicked, let's try this. So or the label. Let's try to change the text on the label and see if that is allowed. All right, does everybody see what I'm trying to do here? So I'm trying to make it so that when I press button 2, that it'll change the text. So what Q string will it use? That's the first question. Oh, it closed because I had this other connection here. Alright, so it doesn't know what information to even put in that label. Let's say I try to put my own. Alright, that works. It didn't work. Alright, so the moral of the story here is that you generally want to match up your signals and slots as far as the parameters that are used. If there's no parameters in your signal, then there should be no parameters in your slot. Or if there is a parameter, then the slot should have the same parameter. The one exception is if the signal sends some extra information, the slot is allowed to ignore that information and react to it. But generally, that's not going to be that useful to you. But I figured you guys should understand that and hopefully save you some frustration later on when you try to do these things, and you'll know why it doesn't work. So also, so far we realized that we can't put our own information in these signals and slots, and that's because these signals and slots belong to these pre-made objects that come from the Qt library. We'll see in probably the next video how to make our own widgets, and with those widgets make our own signals and slots. That way we can send our own information with these signals and slots.